Thompson.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm speaking today in favour of new clauses 13 and 14 and the expansion to clause 3, having served with colleagues on the Bill Committee for this piece of legislation. But can I begin, Madam Deputy Speaker, by thanking all members who've contributed tonight. I think there have been a series of very impassioned speeches from across the House, and particularly my honourable friends for Bolsover, Knowsley and Penistone and Stocksbridge for their incredibly powerful contributions. These amendments that we're discussing this evening, Madam Deputy Speaker, are a significant step forward in protecting victims of serious violence, and they will help thousands of people. They will help to ensure the safety of victims of serious sexual abuse, victims of crime who have signed a non-disclosure agreement, and crucially, these amendments will also protect children. New Clause 14 will ensure the protection of children who have been born of rape. In the debate on the second reading of this bill, I spoke of a constituent of mine who had had a child that resulted from an abusive relationship. She told me, when I spoke to her, of the extreme difficulties that she'd been facing as she had passed through a long and complex custody battle over her child. She asked me if we, as politicians, could look again at parental rights in the context of abusive relationships. Well, I'm very pleased that new Clause 14 will protect children born in such circumstances. No longer will children born of rape or their mothers be forced to have a relationship with a rapist. As it currently stands, mothers in some cases must co-parent with a rapist. Women should not be forced to include their rapist in decisions on their child's healthcare, schooling or any other aspects of a child's life. Children should not have to be raised by rapists. Mothers who have a child born of rape should be safe in the knowledge that having a child will not tie them to their rapist. Automatic restriction of parental responsibility will ensure that mothers and children are safer. Rapists should not have the automatic right to interfere with their victims' lives. This clause frees families from the stress and pain of applying to court by ensuring that this restriction is immediate. The expansion to Clause 3 similarly ensures that any person convicted of serious sex offences against any child has their parental rights removed. The safety of children is of the utmost priority, and expanding this measure from those who have abused their own child to those who have seriously abused any child is a measure which will ensure the safety of the children that the perpetrator is closest to. Paedophiles should have no right to look after any child. I am also pleased to see that new Clause 13 will allow us to clamp down on the misuse of non-disclosure agreements, which are used to hide instances where a crime has occurred. Victims of crime should not have to worry about who they speak to regarding the crime of which they are a victim, and non-disclosure agreements should not be used to silence victims of crimes, nor should they stop witnesses coming forward. This amendment means that victims and direct witnesses of crime can speak to their friends, their family, their support system, but they can also speak to their employers and, if they need to journalists. I very much welcome the closing of this loophole, which allows criminals to scare victims into not sharing their experiences. The law must not protect those who seek to silence victims. Madam Deputy Speaker, these amendments will allow us to take significant steps towards the government's aim of halving violence towards women and girls. But more than that, these amendments serve to give victims of serious violent crime justice.